I'd like to call to order the Orange County Industrial Development Agency meeting for November 20th, 2024, and the time is 5:39. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask Bill to do the roll call, please.
Jeffrey Christ.
Here.
Mark Green. Dr. Vincent Oda.
Here.
Giovanni Palladino.
Here.
Linda Muller.
Here.
Susan Walsky.
Here.
6 of 7 members present. Also for staff, myself, Bill Fioravanti, Kelly Riley, and Marty Barras. Mr. Jose Rojas is handling our audio visual. We have Dan Birmingham, our bond counsel, Lino Sharetta and Rudy Zoda, our general counsel, Mr. Brian Savage, our New York State monitor, I hope I mentioned him already. And we have 2 guests with us online, Mr. Jonathan Lee and Neil Simzak from SWF Development, aka Scott Harbor Group.
Thank you, Bill.
Sure.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. We'll get to you shortly, and right now we'll consider approval of the minutes which the board has had for the last week on the October 16th, 2024 meeting. Additions, corrections, motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve by Linda, second to that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Susan. Any other discussion on those minutes? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Just a couple brief comments from me. The chairman's report, and Bill went into some detail reporting the New York State Innovation Summit, which I attended with Bill in Syracuse. It was quite eye-opening. A number of things going on, as you might imagine. But in overview, it's clear New York State is really at the forefront in the United States of supporting innovation, startups. There's so much stuff going on in the medical community. I'm here to talk about aging and working to stop aging, which was beyond my comprehension. One thing that also blew my mind was a startup that had developed a robotic tool to do colonoscopies. Cheaper, less painful, and quicker. So I'm not going to be the first one to try it out. But
you still got to drink the nuclear stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Good point. Also, I attended a meeting mostly in my agricultural role, but that came up last week, and the New York State Comptroller, Thomas DiNapoli, held a meeting in Middletown to speak to rural and agricultural issues, doing quite comprehensive reports. And I have to say, it wasn't my doing, but there was some discussion about attraction of businesses and tax incentives, abatements, which pointed out to me we need to continue a PR, proper communication with our community on what we're doing and what the positive results are. So, in the rural part of this also speaks to housing, unemployment, food insecurity, which we just talked about in our previous OCFC meeting. So that was kind of neat, and I did get to speak with him before the meeting face to face to bring up a couple of detailed agricultural concerns. So it's kind of neat that he actually came to Orange County, and the meeting went on for about 2 hours.
Wow.
And he was there in person, didn't take a call or anything else, paid attention, he took notes. So that's my report. I would certainly encourage you to carefully look at Bill's CEO report. As always, it's very involved with a lot of information. Feel free to follow up with Bill on details. And Bill, maybe do an overview of your report.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but it is pretty in-depth. I sent you a few things under separate cover just so you have them all. I don't want to bog up the entire packet, but including synopses of those conferences, the New York State Innovation Summit and the IDA Academy that I went to. Terrific. As Jeff said, both were super informative. I got a lot out of it, including that IDA Academy. It's a one-day deal put on by New York State EDC, but every single session was terrific. It was really excellent. But I do encourage you to read my report. If you have any questions or want more information, please reach out. Thank you.
questions for Bill on that report, and we've had that for the last few days as well, and I enjoyed reading it. I want to go back and look at it a little more carefully. Would it be okay if we switched governance and finance around, and then finance can roll right into the financials and payables?
Sure.
So Linda, if that's okay with you,
Absolutely,
your report, please.
certainly. We had a little bit more conversation about the bylaws and the personnel updates for the handbook. Bylaws, we're gonna be working on those internally, and we're gonna be looking for some support in review of the personnel policies. They have not been updated since 2020. If anybody remembers what happened in 2020, COVID. So there are some things in the handbook that are related to that experience that we all shared that I don't believe still needs to be in the handbook. So we'll be working on that. Mr. Chair, you did recommend that we look at a policy regarding sexual harassment training for the Board of Directors, which we will be doing and writing a policy for implementation in 2025. Mr. Fioravanti did a UTEP draft review with Attorney Sue Katzoff, and we'll be working on some of that and then bringing it back to the Governance Committee on December 11th. That's my report, sir.
Questions for Linda? Lot going on there, Linda.
Busy.
Thank you for your efforts.
You're welcome.
Mark Green, Finance Committee, please.
Certainly. So again, a fairly quiet month as far as our blocking and tackling numbers go. Expenses were pretty much in line with what we've done. We did have some income. We did have one application. Overall, still, a net loss for the month. But there were other things that we are discussing, and so many things coming to a head that we actually think we might have to meet a little earlier on the Finance Committee in December. One of them being the retirement plan contributions. Part of that is when Linda hit me. And so I will be doing some analysis. I will try and get that out to you all a week before. That way there's plenty of time, and if you need one-on-one discussion to kind of give you some things. But that has to be, we have to make a decision next time we meet, because it has to be done by December 31st. So I will do the best I can to get that for you. May I talk about Paris reporting?
Sure.
We have two situations that we have people that have worked for us and are now coming to us with their poor accounting practices, and asking us to pay bills back to 2021, 2022. And again, Linda being Linda, and thankfully for her being her, she came up with some proper advice on how we're going to try and deal with that, and so we will be able to present that to you all down the road. But at some point, if I may just consolidate, the feeling is that there is some sort of statute of limitations on these things. And so we've asked Bill to go back and push back on those things. And then finally, next month we'll have to talk about CDs coming due. We have a rather large CD coming due January 12th, so we'll have to make a decision next December, or next meeting rather, I'm sorry, about that. And part of our discussion in the next 45 minutes might have an effect on that. So I believe I covered everything we could. Any questions?
And that includes
Actually, Mr. Chairman.
Do you have any sense of what we're talking about as far as dollar values for this late accounting request reimbursement?
One of them, I would say both of them. One of them is roughly $9,000, and the other one's roughly $15,000.
About 24.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not, it's not egregious, but there is a fundamental gut issue with you know, we've closed our books, or, you know, we've paid for our accountants to close our books, not just last year, the year before that. It's just, it's exceptionally frustrating to have that kind of poor systems in place when we work as hard as we do to try and keep things in line.
So we'll have to absorb some costs too on our end, right?
We will have to absorb some costs, but Bill is gonna do his best to mitigate them.
I say, why now? Why 4 years later?
And they're just errors on their part, and they're finding that they didn't bill for it, so they're trying to make it right.
I mean, look, there is a balance, right? We did receive services, so I understand the, you know, feeling like, you know, we should obligate our you know, to our commitments on that, but at what point, again, we've closed our books, you know, we've done all these things, at some point, is it really our fault that people aren't doing what they should be doing?
Well, Bill, moving forward, is there anything that we could do to tell people, to give them notice and say, hey, the end of the year is coming, get all your bills in, or?
Yeah, I think we also have a responsibility to, you know, have oversight over that and make sure that we're not missing anything. We've done it with all our recurring bills, you know, when we don't, some of our media stuff and marketing, you know, we're notifying, look, we need these bills on time. But we haven't done it with attorneys, but apparently we need to.
You know, and that's actually an excellent point, you know, maybe we put something in, you know, a tickler or something.
Right.
And November 1st, a letter goes out to everybody and saying, if you don't have your year in by X, realize that you are at risk to forfeit any fees you think you've earned.
The other thing, when these bills first came up, and the one being 18 months old, the question was, is there something in the retainer agreement that specifies that they have to be billed monthly? We don't have that in there now, so that's something else we could do, is modify future agreements to make sure it does say that.
Yep, all invoices should be received within 60 days of
Right.
services provided.
If we don't stipulate that, we should.
By end of quarter or something along that.
Typically, I know, we do 60 days.
Yeah.
So I know the committee's gonna follow through on this and push back some, or Bill is, report to the committee.
Yes, absolutely.
So we do need to take action moving into new business on the October 2024 financials, as well as the October-November payables. I think Mark covered that. If anyone has other questions or care to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to
Approve.
accept those, approve the financials and payables. Second?
I'll second that.
Susan, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. And for IDA, I would like to, again, as I did in the OCFC meeting, welcome Blickley, Platt, and Schmidt, namely Lino Scaretta and Rudy Zoda. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you for having us.
And as I mentioned previously, we did Bill and I did a vetting, which involved several meetings, and one of them included Kelly and Marty, just for the minutes. We look forward to working with you, and we would need to confirm that appointment by a board vote, if anyone would care to make the motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Giovanni, I'm sorry. Second by, I'm forgetting names all of a sudden. Mark, yeah, troublemaker Mark. Any other, I'm sorry about that. Linda told me to say that.
Oh, boy, talk about getting thrown under the bus.
He threw you so hard, he got a doll for it.
And he backed it up.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Thank you.
That's funny.
Sky Harbor Group application. Lino, I think you're gonna kick that off?
Yeah, I'll kick it off, but the applicant's on.
Yep.
So, but this is, in essence, an application from SWF Development, also known as Sky Harbor Group. They are looking for both sales tax and mortgage recording tax exemption for this project, which is an expansion of their facility at Stewart Airport. So I will let the applicant delve in further to that, and I understand they're on Zoom.
Yeah, John,
Hey everyone,
Neal,
appreciate you
floor is
guys
yours,
allowing
thanks.
us to be here today and appreciate your time. I'll just do a quick introduction. I'll allow Neil to do the same. My name is Jonathan Lee. I compiled the application, spent 8 years in the United States Army in the past, and I'm currently an associate at Sky Harbor. I'll hand it over to Neil for a quick intro.
Hey everyone, my name is Neil Simzak, Vice President of Real Estate at Sky Harbor Group, currently publicly traded on New York Stock Exchange. We've been working with the Port Authority to make this development a reality at Stewart International Airport since 2020. So excited to be here, and I'll hand it back over to Jonathan to run you through the details.
I really appreciate everyone's time today again. Here's a look at our potential campus on Stewart Airport. It's not necessarily expansion, it's going to be a ground-up development. A few key facts and figures. It's a huge airport infrastructure project, 250,000 square feet. Really has the potential to make Stewart an economic driver for the community. Includes an off-site fuel farm, energy efficient, solar power, adjacent parking and apron. As Neil said, the ground lease is still under negotiation. A couple of highlights, and you can kind of see what it potentially might look like in that bottom photo. 120 plus construction jobs, about $109 million capital investment in the airport, very serious investment there. 100 plus aviation jobs. Each of the aircraft that will be housed there comes with a number of different jobs, for the local community. Additionally, we typically run an academy called the Sky Harbor Academy, where we train individuals on aviation-related jobs, high-paying aviation-related jobs, free of charge, and we've partnered with the Red Tail Flight Academy, which is a branch of Tuskegee Airmen. And Neil can probably attest to this. I mean, he was just at a conference kind of talking a little bit about this, but we are also in early discussions with electric aviation, eVTOL providers such as Joby and Archer, about the potential for some infrastructure there to include charging stations and an MRO even. Those are all within the realm of possibility. Early stages at this time, and I'll allow Neil to say a little bit more about that, given that he's just kind of come off that.
Yeah, I think that was a good summary. Just to expand a little bit more on what we see at Stewart. Right now, there's just a lack of hangar space for business aircraft in the New York area, and a lot of them have expressed to us that they need a better basing solution as it's more congested, being further south. So we're in talks with a lot of aircraft owners and operators that want to be based up at Stewart. And like Jonathan mentioned, every aircraft that bases up there brings about 5 to 7 jobs, whether it be pilots, co-pilots, schedulers, dispatchers, flight departments, maintenance teams, etc. So we see this being a great financial engine for the community. The other element on the Red Tail Flight Academy is we're going to have an aviation discovery and training classroom. They're currently at the airport in sort of just a kind of a side office at one of the buildings, but we're going to give them dedicated hangar space. They're going to look to expand their training operations. They have about 2 aircraft now. I want to expand that to maybe close to 10 here in the future. So it'll just be a great kind of launch pad for them as they expand their operations. So the thing I will mention, the reason why we're talking to you is just that it's very expensive. We started talking about this project with the Port Authority in 2020, when really the cost of this was almost half, probably 50 to 60% of the original cost. And everything's gone up since COVID. And the thing that's particularly challenging with this site is that there's really no infrastructure that supports it. So we're gonna have to bring water, power, we're gonna have to build taxiways, we're gonna have to come up with our stormwater master plan that's gonna drain to the north, as well as putting in lift stations. So it makes the site very challenging, and it makes the economics very tight. And so that's really one of the reasons why we're talking with you all today to help make this project a reality. So that's just a quick summary. Standing by for your questions.
And I would point out, this is an introduction of the project to the board, and Lena's going to tee us up to induce and start the process in a moment. Could we take just a couple questions, General?
Sure.
One high-level question I had: where geographically is this proposed on the airport? I'm a pilot and I'm familiar with the airport. I can't quite tell from your pictures.
Yeah, John, can you grab Google Earth and we can maybe just do a bird's eye zoom real quick. While John's doing that, I'll explain. It's on the north side of the airport. You know, the Atlantic hangar. I think it used to be the GE hangar,
right,
where the North Farm is. you know that there's a gate to access the cargo ramp on the north side.
By
So
by the
there's a-
tower?
Yeah, it's not in the tower. It's actually on the other side. It's like a horseshoe shaped area
Okay.
that is alongside. It's cargo road that's running.
Oh.
behind it.
So up
By
towards
FedEx?
84, up by 84, so it must be up by 84.
I think northwest part. So if you come off 84, 17K and then take that side road,
Yeah, that's right. Let's see if we
Behind
can. I just want to make sure everybody's clear
Yeah,
on
National
that.
Guard?
We can,
No.
No.
you got it up,
Across
Josh.
from like
The other-
Toyota, that area. there.
yeah.
Exactly. Closer to the old exit 6 off 84.
Oh,
By the
okay.
hotel there.
I'm
Yeah,
seeing
okay,
that.
here we
There we
go.
go, great.
Okay.
That's good.
You see the two roads are kind of, one road is the airport service road that skirts in closer to the kind of taxiway,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, there, right where the cursor
Oh, wow,
is.
yeah,
Okay.
now I know.
Yeah, so it's pretty raw land, which makes it challenging, but, we think the Port Authority agrees, we agree, we think it's the highest and best use of this parcel for aircraft storage.
And that's really separate from the commercial airliner terminal completely,
Yeah, correct,
other side of the airport.
Yeah, zoom out again, John, please.
I'll give
Yeah, and
everybody a
that's-
picture.
Yeah, I know where it is.
That helps.
Yep.
Lino, I think you
Yeah,
had a
no, just
question.
a question. You're still negotiating the ground lease for this?
That's correct, yes.
And where are you in terms of the entitlement process, in terms of the approval? So you just starting, or where are you at that point?
Are you talking about environmental, building permits, et cetera?
Building, yeah, permits, like where are you? I mean, I know you can negotiate the ground lease, but what's your, I guess, time frame in terms of getting those entitlements for the buildings and what have you?
Yes, so we are, we anticipate we'll sign the ground lease in Q1, once we get a full view of the financial picture. And then at that point, they'll start allowing us to do environmental diligence on the site, geotech borings, stormwater review survey, et cetera. They are making us go through, well, the FAA came down and made a determination that this has to be a full EA. John, you could probably stop sharing. This have to be a full environmental assessment, which can take anywhere from 12 to 18 months
Wow,
for FAA review. Yeah, it's pretty lengthy and
Yeah.
costly, because there's going to be some mitigation, offsite mitigation that we're going to have to do so that it's a one for one. So, unfortunately, we're farther away from building permits than we'd like to be. But let's say it takes 12 months for the EA. That puts us in Q1 of 2026 to get approval, break ground in mid 2026, and we'll get it done by 2027, probably mid to late 2027. We could be a full year earlier though if that EA was faster. So that's a limiting factor.
so that's a pause deck then, right? Is that what
Yeah.
that?
What's that?
I don't, they're not, do you know if it's gonna be a type, are they making you do a full-blown EIS or no? Or just, I see you submitted an EAF to us, but are they is the agency there making you do a full environmental assessment and impact statement or no?
They haven't gotten to that level of detail, but they're telling us it's going to be a full EA. So in the past, we have seen that requires an EIS.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that's gonna take
Yeah.
quite some time.
Can I ask some
Mark,
questions?
yes, please.
So I have a bunch.
Okay,
Have you done this project at any other airports that you can mention?
Yeah, so currently this would be our 14th location. We're active in Houston, Texas, Nashville,
Which Houston airport?
Sugarland, SGR. We're active, we did this in Nashville International, BNA, Miami, Opa-locka, and then San Jose International Airport, we have an active campus as well. And then we're in development in Chicago, Poughkeepsie, Orlando International. We're gonna open in Denver, Phoenix, and Dallas in Q1 of next year. So yeah, we're very competent builders. We've done this everywhere, and a lot of demand for this kind of, we call ourselves the aviation's home base, whereas like in Atlantic or Signature is an FBO, you think of them as supporting transient aircraft. Our aircraft all live in the hangar, which means they bring the jobs, they bring the economic development activity, and you know, it also brings the opportunity for businesses to base there that otherwise, you know, maybe choose out of state.
So would this be on the same thought process as like a Teterboro, a Morristown, even like a Westchester? Is that what, you know, like like when I think of, I'm trying to equate this, like I think of Teterboro Airport. Is your argument that those facilities are, you know, reaching capacity, so, you know, they're looking for alternatives?
Right. A lot of aircraft live on the ramp outside of hangars at those airports, and so it's becoming an overflow situation. So those aircraft are looking for homes, and we've identified Stewart as a high potential home base for those aircraft.
All right, so
That's
so is your thought that this is just to house aircraft, or would there be actual, you know, use of the aircraft, using Stewart as a home base for this as well?
Oh yeah, this will be the home base of these aircraft. We're going to be building 20,000 to 40,000 square foot hangars for these aircraft. They're going to use it. They're going to be based there. It's not for random aircraft that are coming from some other state to just come in for a day or two or a week and then depart out. These aircraft will be based full time at Stewart.
And when you say, you know, local aviation jobs, you mentioned your training center. Would that be an import of people coming here, or would there be actual opportunities for people here to learn and be a part of that?
Right, so we've talked to Orange County Community College, SUNY Orange, as well as Dutchess, and we target career transitioners. We work with the local community colleges to identify high potential candidates, typically from diverse backgrounds, and we do a 4-month training program where we give them native certifications to become a line service technician in aviation. At the end of that, they get paid a stipend. We support transportation. At the end of that certification process, they'll get interviewed by us for a full-time job. We will also help them get jobs with some of our tenants, as well as the airlines and some of the local FBOs. So it's really a workforce development program. We call it the Sky Harbor Academy. So that would be looking for people in the community. It's not like we're importing people from outside of the community. You'd be looking for people in the community to give them that training.
One more question, sir.
Sure.
So, you know, you're looking to us to help you out. You're building these beautiful facilities. You know, our mandate as far as local labor. In your experiences at other airports that you've built, do you have anything that you plan on building that you would have to come to us and say local labor wouldn't be suffice to build something out in your facility?
Specialty.
You know, something that would be a specialty that you would want some sort of variance on.
So we actually manufacture our own steel components in Dallas, and those get shipped to our sites, to all of our sites. So I don't know, John, did we mention that in the application? It's just that manufacturing component that we specifically call out. But in terms of erecting the steel, doing the site work, the plan right now is to use all local labor.
We've spoken about that, and that is one of the challenges, is finding that local labor to put that pre-engineered metal building up, and that might be the only exception, just given the significant challenges with finding that specific labor. We've had some struggles in the past with timelines and cost overruns, so that would be the only potential issue unless we could find something local.
Is that you're talking about time, you know, so if we have local labor that has the time to work on your facility, are you saying that there would be some sort of expertise or or training that would eliminate our ability to use local labor?
If you guys had the expertise, we would 100%, it would be local labor.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's a barrier that's too high.
It's not, no.
All right, we're quibbling over expertise. That could be used in many different ways. Can our unionized steel workers do what you need them to do?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I just want to be clear, the fabrication of the steel is in Texas, but the actual construction of it will be done here in Orange County, hopefully, using local labor. It's just the fabrication that's off-site.
Right, that's correct.
Correct.
That's correct.
Should we have Lena brief us on the inducement resolution?
Sure, so what you have tonight, assuming the board is on board with this project, you have an inducement resolution, which in essence confirms what they are requesting for in terms of certain abatements and mortgage and sales tax. This inducement is good for up to 1 year, but what this allows the IDA to do, the next step will be, once you pass on the inducement, will be to hold a public hearing on this, and then ultimately, once that happens, they will come back for what's called, what we do, a final authorization, and that final authorization will allow us to close the project. So the first step is the inducement, and that's what we prepared for you tonight, is an inducement resolution.
That summarizes it quite nicely. Questions? The public hearing date will be determined at a later
At a later
point.
date, correct.
Yeah,
We'll work with the applicant on that.
yes.
And it'll be noticed just like any other public hearing, but we'll work with Bill and the applicant to set that date. But this will inducement authorize the public hearing to be had.
It sounds somewhat likely we'll need more than a year.
Yeah, and that's also at the discretion of the IDA. It says it can
Okay.
expire, so if you deem this to be expired, it will expire. But again, the applicant, and as I've seen in other situations, they can come back and say, listen, we're still not there yet. That's why I asked about the entitlements earlier, because it's probably gonna take you some time. So you can come back and say, listen, we know we were induced, we need some more time. And usually that would require notice to the IDA, a letter to us, just to say, look, you need more time, we're still on board to do this project, so that way we hold off on the final authorization until you're ready to come in.
Because that requires the completion of the environmental
You gotta do
review.
environmental, you gotta get your approvals, so it's gonna take a little time. And I'm assuming you're gonna need all these sales tax, obviously, when you're ready for construction, so.
Right.
Susan?
The question I have is your, do you only have to go through the environmental through Stewart Airport, or do you have to go through the town of New Windsor as well?
Everything runs through the Port Authority.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think
Authority
they
property.
don't, I think they have jurisdiction.
They have jurisdiction, yeah, they're lead agency.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
Again,
that's
this is
it.
not my wheelhouse, I'll be the first to admit, I know nothing about aviation other than where's my seat.
So this resolution basically authorizes us to move ahead and entertain this application.
Correct.
With all the steps.
Again, there'll be a second portion to that.
And Bill suggested we do a roll call vote after we have a motion
I'll
and a
make the
second.
motion.
Motion by Giovanna. Second,
I'll
Susan,
second
thank
it.
you. And a roll call vote, please, Bill.
Jeffrey Christ,
I'm in favor?
Mark Green,
Yes.
Dr. Vincent Odock, Giovanni Palladino,
Yes.
Linda Muller,
Yes.
and Susan Wolski.
Yes.
Motion carried,
Motion carried.
6 in favor, 1 absence, nobody opposed.
Interesting to see what the public says.
Yes, yep. Anything else on this
That's
item?
it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen, Neil and Jonathan, for being with us.
We'll be in touch.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you,
Exciting,
appreciate you.
exciting project.
Absolutely.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Linda, you'll have a place to park your plane now.
Yeah.
I've got my second plan in the south.
Oh.
So moving on to our next item is to consider accepting the EPA Brownfield grant. And Bill has an update for us.
Yeah, this is a grant that I notified you when we applied, I notified when we were awarded the grant, and I just need your authorization to actually accept it. It's a $500,000 brownfield assessment grant that allow us to identify properties in Port Jervis and other places we've targeted. To me, it's perfectly dovetails with our shovel-ready initiative. These are vital properties that are a lot of people shy away from, so being able to assess what the contamination is on these sites is critical, and it really can open up other sites to our shovel-ready repertoire. So just looking for your authorization so that we can accept.
And this was included in your packet. It was under the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. a few pages. So, questions, comments, motion to
I'll make a motion to approve.
authorize. Okay, by Giovanni, second by Mark. Any other discussion? We can do just a general vote.
Yes.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried 6-0, one absence.
And then if I could add, the next item on here is one of the requirements that came out after
Oh,
we
yeah.
applied was the EPA saying, you have to have a policy in place to work with people with limited English proficiency. So I was not familiar with this, but I did some research. I found a sample policy that we proposed for you. And I know Linda Muller, for example, has worked with her agency, has worked with these types of services. Brian, our monitor, has suggested a couple opportunities, and it sounds like it's a resource that you only pay as you use it. It doesn't have to be very costly. I frankly don't anticipate us using it. We're very lucky that we have Marty as a bilingual staff member here, Spanish speaker. I think that's where most of the opportunities would come. Otherwise, if it's an Arabic speaker or whatever it might be, we pay for someone on the site, on the spot there. And also, if we want to rescind this policy when we're done with the grant, we can do that as well. But I'm hoping that you support this because we're stuck in neutral if we don't have this policy in place.
It's probably not crazy to keep it going forward considering the world is changing.
It's true.
If we want to be global, we should act that way.
Yeah, good point. Any other discussion, questions, motion to approve,
I'll make a
adopt?
motion to approve the policy.
Thank you, Linda. Second to that motion, Mark, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Thanks very much.
And your last item is the communications assistant job description.
Yes, thank you. You've approved the formation of this position. You've approved the funding it in the budget. Now I just wanted to get your blessing on the actual job description, since you've blessed and approved my description and as well as Marty's and Kelly's recently. So I thought it was only right that you review it and you bless it as well.
It looked to me to be quite inclusive, a lot of flexibility.
Yes.
I'm good with it. Other comments, questions?
Looks good to me.
Anybody care to make a motion to approve that job description?
Make a motion.
By Dr. Oduck, thank you. Second to that motion.
A second.
Thank you, Susan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Yes. Thanks very much.
And I did have a message from our formal counselor earlier. And since we didn't need her to be here, she did attend the governance committee meeting by Zoom. But she wanted me to express her sincere thank you for the time that we had her. And she didn't want us to feel like she was just taking off and leaving us in a bad spot. She did give Bill and I some notice. And her Syracuse city job is demanding more time. And she just felt that she had to focus on that. And she felt bad about leaving us, but she does send her thank you for that time. And I'll return that thank you. I think you have.
Exactly. I was going to say we already have, but she served us well, so it's mutual.
It's good that we're more local now.
That's one of our objectives.
There is some benefits to that, and
Well, you can understand the accent.
Local, but not too local.
That's right.
anything
You
else
take the kid out
for,
of Yonkers, but you can't take Yonkers out of the kids.
Yes.
That's what happens.
anything else for today's meeting? Motion to approve, adjourn, yeah, getting on a broken record there. That motion, anybody?
I'll make it.
Thank you, Mark, second by Giovanni, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, and the time is now 6:18, we're adjourned.